Hi guys, welcome to my YouTube channel, and this is Style in V, and this is a tutorial on how to make this handkerchief flare skirt on this video. So you'll be learning how to make this skirt from start to finish. So let's get started. To achieve this skirt, you will need your elastic. This is an elastic. This is about 1 inch elastic. You need your thread. You also need your crepe fabric or any fabric that you want to use for the skirt. So this is about 2.5 yards of crepe. So I'll be using this paper to do some explanation before doing it on the fabric. Now this, let's assume this is a fabric piece, right? And it's open like this. This part here is the width of the fabric. That is where you take your yard measurement, the width of the fabric, and this part here is the length of the fabric. Since I am using a crepe, the length of this crepe is 62 inches or 60 inches. Yes, and this part is the width of the fabric. Now, in order for you to know the amount of fabric to fold, so you don't waste your fabric, you divide your hip circumference by 6.28. I'll divide my hip circumference by 6.28 because I am putting an elastic at the waistband. If I am not putting an elastic at the waistband, I will just divide my waist instead of my hip. So now my 6 divided by 6.28 gives me 7 inches. And I'll note this down. The length of my skirt is 25 inches plus 1 inch for hemming allowance. And I'll note it down. So now I will add my hip circumference plus the length of my skirt, which makes it 31 inches. So it means I will take a measurement of 31 inches multiplied by 2. So just watch what I want to do. Now from this width part here, I will mark out 31 inches, and after the first 31 inches, I'll proceed to mark the second 31 inches. So I'll fold my fabric, that is the width side facing the width side of the down part and the width side of the up part. I'll fold the two of them together like this, and I'll retake my measurement. I'll take the first 31 inches here, and I'll take the second 31 inches here. So when you're done, you note this down and you fold it at the midpoint like this. On this part where you have your 31 inches, on the midpoints like this, then you fold it like this into 4. So you can see how we folded it into 4. So when you're done folding into 4, then you can proceed to take your measurement around this area here. So let's do this directly on our fabric so we can understand better. Okay, so I have my fabric right here with me, and I will do the same thing I just did on the paper. I will take the width of the fabric, that is where I will measure the yard. I'll take the width of the fabric, both the lower side and the upper side. I will join the both of them together. Just watch what I am doing and you do understand better. I'll join the two widths together like this on the same side like this. I'll fold it into 2 and you can see what we have. Now after folding this into 2, I'll proceed to mark out my 31 inches starting from this start point here. My 31 inches starting from this point here. I'll mark the 31 inches first and I will note it down. Look at the first 31 inches, and I will also proceed to expand it and mark the second 31 inches like this. So just watch what I am doing and you understand better. So I'll proceed to mark the second 31 inches. So when you do this method, your fabric, you will not have like a wastage of fabric here. So this is the second 31 inches, and I'll proceed to take the same measurement down. Okay, whatever thing you do to the up of it, you also do it to the lower side of the fabric. That's the folded part of the fabric. Now I'll proceed to take the same measurement I took, which is 31 inches here like this, and I will mark the first 31 inches like this, and also proceed to mark the second 31 inches like this, as you can see me doing right here. So I'll mark the second 31 inches here. So this is what we have. So the next step is to cut following the lines that we just marked on this fabric, so you can see what we have. So when I'm done, I will fold this part here into two. I'll fold the length of it into two so that it becomes 4 folds. So after folding, this is what we have. So the next step for us to do is to input our measurements. Okay, so now on this part here is where I will place the measurement that I got. Now I'll mark my 7 inches from the top of the fabric right here. I'll take it round, that is in a fillet form, how you normally take your fillet measurement. Now I'll mark the 7 inches round like this. So I'll connect all the lines together. Now remember, this is my hip circumference divided by 6.28. Like I said earlier, if you're not adding an elastic to yours, you can just divide your waist circumference by 6.28 and you mark the same measurement. So the next step is to mark out the length of the skirt. Now remember, we're using an elastic waistband of 1 inch, so I'll take off that 1 inch before marking out the length. That means you minus 1 inch or whatever length of your elastic is, so you take it out before marking out the length. So I'll place my tape directly on this width that we just marked right here now, and I'll minus the 1 inch on it before marking out my skirt length plus 1 extra inch for hemming allowance. My skirt length plus 1 extra inch for hemming allowance. I'll mark it on this point here and also on this other point here. The same thing I did to the other end, I'll do the same thing to this end. My skirt length plus 1 inch for hemming allowance, and this is exactly what I have on this part. So the next thing for me to do is to connect from this point here to meet the other point. So just watch what I will do. So I'll connect from this point on this part here. That's the measurement I have on this part here. I will extend it straight to meet the end of the fabric like this, so you can see what we have right here. So this is just how it is to cut it. So when I'm done connecting it like this, the next thing for me to do is to cut following the shape of what we just marked. So I proceed to cut out the width first and then cut out the length of the fabric. Okay, so let me repeat the same process. This is where you take your length of the skirt first on this part, and you also come to this part again and take the same skirt length. Okay, so that's just basically all, and when we're done we'll proceed to cut. So I will cut following the shape. This is the hip circumference and also this is the length like this. So when I'm done cutting, and this is what we have. So the next step for me to do is to notch all sides. I'll notch this point here and I'll open it up and also notch the midpoint. So wherever you want your handkerchief effect to face, that depends on you. So I'll ensure that I notch all the sides, both the midpoint and the 2 sides of the skirt. So you proceed to notch all of them. So I proceeded to cut out the long piece that I'll be placing at the upper side of the skirt. Now remember, you'll be needing 2 of this, one for the front and one for the back. So for the width of this fabric, I went to cut 60 inches long. So it's long by 60 inches. Remember, you cut 2 of it, so this 60 inches multiplied by 2. And for the length, that is the how wide I want it to be, is 9 inches. So it's supposed to be 8 inches, but plus 1 inch for hemming allowance, so it's 8 inches by 60 inches. So the next thing I would do is to fold it into 2 equal halves like this, and I will notch the midpoint after folding it. Now I'll place this midpoint on the midpoint of my skirt. Remember, we've notched that earlier, and I'll take the measurement round like this. So wherever this ends, I will hold it and I will notch this point. So whatever thing I do to one piece, I will do the same thing to the other piece. So let me open this up so that you guys can see, then you understand my explanation. Midpoint facing the midpoint of the skirt, and you can see where I notched. This is where it should be, like this on this side too. So the next thing for us to do is to hem from this notch point down to wherever the length stop. I'll proceed to hem it down one side and also continue from the other side. I'll fold it like this and hem it straight down, and whatever thing I do to one piece, I'll do the same thing to the other piece. Okay, when I'm done, I also proceed to hem this side like this, and also the lower side of this long piece here. So after doing this, I will also proceed to hem all sides of the lower part of the skirt. That is all this part here. I'll proceed to fold them like this. I'll open it up and I'll fold all sides like this, all this rough edge side like this. I'll open them up and I will proceed to fold them. So I am done folding all the rough edges, and the next thing for us to do is to place this shorter piece on the skirt itself. Now you place it on the midpoint. Remember, you've notched the midpoint. You place it on the midpoint of the skirt like this. You can see what I am doing right here, and also on the other notched part, you place it on the side of the skirt like this. So after pinning this side, I also proceed to place the other part on the side of the skirt like this, as you can see me doing right here. So when I'm done, I will proceed to open it. That is, I'll turn it to the other side so that I'll be able to place the other piece. Remember, one is on the front and the other one is at the back. So I'll pin it on the midpoint area like this. That's the midpoint of the piece and the midpoint of the skirt. And also do the same thing on the side itself like this. I'll pin it to the side like this. After doing this, I also do the same thing to the other side like this, okay, and I will pin it. Now after pinning them, I will take it over to my sewing machine and sew round. I'll sew round with half of an inch. I'll sew both the shorter piece and the skirt itself. I'll sew them round using half of an inch. So I've gone ahead to sew round, and this is what we have. So you can see what we have right here. So the next step for us to do is to take out the round measurement of the skirt. So I'll proceed to take the round measurement from one end round to the other end like this, as you can see me doing right here. So what I got is 51 inches. So I'll note this down. Now I'll cut out a band of 52 inches. That is 1 inch for sewing allowance, okay? And the width of this elastic band is 2 inches on fold, okay? If you open it up, it will be 4 inches, but on fold it will be 2 inches on fold, because I am working with a 1 inch elastic. So this is the length of the fabric and the other part is the width. So the next thing I would do is to fold it into 2 equal halves like this, and I'll proceed to sew the allowance that I added on it. So I am done sewing, and you can see what we have right here. So I'll proceed to fold this into 2 equal halves like this. So you can give yours a very good press, but there's no light now, so I'll just do it like this. So the next thing I would do is to place the midpoint of this band to the midpoint of my skirt, okay, like this, as you can see me doing right here. And I'll place the midpoint and I'll take it round. I'll proceed to sew it round using half of an inch, but before sewing it, I'll leave a space where I can pass my elastic. I'll leave a space of about 1 to 2 inches where I can pass my elastic. Then I'll proceed to sew it round. So I am done sewing, and this is what we have. So the next thing for us to do is to pass the elastic through the open space. Now, in order for you to know the amount of elastic for you to pass, is that you minus 3 to 4 inches from your waist. That is your main waist circumference. You minus 3 to 4 inches from your waist. Then you use your safety pin and pass it round like this from one end to come out on the other end. So guys, I am done. I also went ahead to sew up the open space that I left, and this is what we have. So you can proceed to weave the rough edges, and guys, look at the skirt. You can see what we have right here. So you can even tie this if you want to, or you leave it like that. So thank you so much for watching, and see you in our next video. So bye guys.